Yes.
Halfway
Yeah,
through
July
July.
4th. Yeah. We started like 3.
Well, it's a notice of a meeting, and yeah, I would say it's the agenda.
Almost. Hey, just for your information, I'm gonna ask everybody to remain standing after the oath. At the swearing in thing. Good evening, everybody. Appears to be 7 o'clock, so I'd like to open the Copper Canyon Town Hall regular meeting for July 14th. If we could all stand and pledge allegiance to the flag and the Texas flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, and indivisible. If you all please will remain standing for just 1 minute, if you don't mind, please. I'd like to have a few minutes of silence for our fellow Texas citizens down in Kerrville. Tremendous loss of life, and just a few minutes, a few seconds of silence would be wonderful for them. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is public input. Public input, and we have a couple speakers tonight. First on the list would be Ted Strancic. If you could come forward.
Good evening, new council. Congratulations, by the way, all of you. Great job. Before I speak, I'd like to say that I was given an award during the 4th of July celebration. Totally surprised. I mean, I had no idea it was coming. I consider it a very high honor, and I want to thank the council, the mayor, the staff, and the town administrator. Thank you very much. I most appreciate and I'm honored with that award. This evening, I'd like to talk about the subdivision ordinance and just a general comment to set the stage for what will happen later this evening. A recent article addressing the upscale real estate market in North Texas stated, and I quote, "Nestled just north of Dallas, Copper Canyon is known for its blend of rural charm and upscale properties. This small, semi-rural community values privacy, large lot sizes, and proximity to the DFW Metroplex. The town does not have commercial development within its borders, which appeals to buyers looking for tranquility without sacrificing access to shopping, schools, and major roadways. This exclusivity helps explain its surging growth in home values. The result is a tight market with rising prices and long-term investment appeal. Most importantly, the town's zoning laws and low-density focus keep it attractive to luxury-minded homeowners who crave space and seclusion." End of quote. That's what we're about here, folks. And that's what we need to preserve. The town has recognized that in order to properly sustain such an admirable residential position, we must have our current subdivision ordinances renewed and revised on an ongoing basis. To this end, the past council hired Dunaway and Associates to accomplish this task. Now, 7 months later, and after the town's 4th revision of the Dunaway's original proposals, the new council is faced with several critical decisions that I will discuss in detail later tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Appreciate it. Next on the list so far is Mr. John Calkins.
up here.
You're doing a great job.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of, council members of town of Copper Canyon and the staff. It does me great pleasure to see a full house here. My subject is police cars. Now, I don't know how I'm going to be in favor after this, but I noticed that we have one police car under roof all the time. I wish the council to consider over the summer months of researching the extra carports on the west side of where the police are now. I did just very minimal research and saw that there's very compatible wooden carports, at least two. Now, all of a sudden, when I come in, I see there's 4 police cars. I don't know if we have 4 police cars or 3. I would figure my speech on 3, because 2 out of 3 are exposed not if, but when we get a devastating hailstorm where we have to replace our roofs, replace windshields and glasswork on our cars. And as I say, over the summer months, if you look into it, there's some that are wooden with steel roof, wooden that are very similar to what we have out there now. And we have to protect our interests here. It costs a lot of money for police cars, and to leave them out, and the way they are now, there's only one always undercover, and one of the police officers' car is under the other cover. And that's what got me to thinking about it. So thank you very much.
All right, sir, thank you. It's always good to have a new view and see a problem we can probably solve sometime in the near future. Anybody else have any other comments that didn't sign up yet or anything like that that would like to say anything? Okay. We'll move on now to next is action and discussions part 1, and this is a little different format I've established for our meetings, where we're going to have different parts where we can talk about items and things like that, and then a second action and discussion where we're going to have public input. But this part here will not have any public input to it or anything like that. The items are covered underneath here. The first 2 items, they deal with removal of current lawyer team and installing or hiring a new law firm for our town. So, discussing and consider, I'll open the discussion for the council on removing legal services for Boyle and Lowry. Does anybody have any comments on that in the council at all?
I had one quick question.
Please.
And I apologize if we've been out for like 3 weeks, so I'm playing catch up on a lot of this stuff. But did we do because there's some budget implications, which we'll get to later. Actually, we're out of, we've used all of our budget for attorney fees.
That is correct. That is correct.
But
The good news is our new firm's a little bit cheaper.
well, I was just gonna ask, did we compare the rates that we
Yes.
cut? We did, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're cheaper, I say they're cheaper, they're more affordable and fit our budget and our
Okay.
needs.
But since we're out of budget, you gonna work pro bono or?
What does that mean?
That's always bad when the lawyer asks, what does pro bono mean?
Okay, thank you.
She's got a sense of humor.
I don't speak loud.
All right. So I guess we will take a vote on dissolving the lawyers of Boyle and Lowry for the town of Copper Canyon.
If you don't mind, just a brief history on how we got here.
Okay,
Is it strictly
please.
a budget item, or is there something else?
Oh, no, it's not wasn't strictly a budget item at all. It was just a matter of desiring to change law firms with the new mayor and new council. Anyways, I'll take a motion to terminate the contract for Boyle and Lowry, if anybody has a motion to do that.
I make a motion that we dissolve the legal services with Boyle and Lowry.
And that's Councilman Newton and made a motion, and Councilman Hubbard made a second, so I'll take a vote. Let's take a vote, please, on that motion.
Aye.
And that's unanimous vote for dissolving that. Then we'll go to the next item, which is going to be discuss, take action on approving a legal services agreement with the Edmondson Law Firm, PLLC. And we have documentation in our folders up here that are available to the administrators and the town staff that's produced that for us. And I'll open up discussion on that for anybody that has any questions or anything like that from the town council on Miss Barrister. I guess that's correct. Do you say Barrister? Deborah. For Deborah.
I do have a question are we also voting on the town prosecutor at the same time as we're agreeing on the terms with you? I know that there's a bio resume for Jeremy Driggs, and is he who you're bringing up to be our new town prosecutor?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Can you give us a little bit of background, because he does have a very impressive resume. I wonder, and because I see that he's still employed at Jiu-Jitsu North America.
No, he's not.
He's not? Okay, so this is not correct.
I mean, that's what he said, and I guess that he's still, he was employed there. My apologies.
That's okay. And have you ever had, does he have any experience with town prosecutor in a small town like Copper Canyon?
He was a prosecutor in the Air Force, so he's a JAG prosecutor, and he's still in the Air Force Reserve.
Okay,
So yes, he does have a criminal law background,
okay.
and I think he'll be a good fit in that position.
Have you worked with him before? or-
I worked with him for a while, yes.
Okay, I mean, I'm just, and then at the back of it, he has a BA in Latin American Studies, which know that we've had times where people have come in that don't speak English, so that'll be very helpful, actually. And where his certifications and license, it says bar and then secret clearance. Was that, I assume the secret clearance was when he was in the Air Force?
Yes, that's correct.
And what bar? Is it the Texas State Bar?
Yes, I believe that's what, Texas bar.
Okay, and it's criminal, I mean, does he have criminal background? Because as you know, we're a small town, there's not a lot of high-end criminal activity. I mean, is he gonna be happy with once a month coming in and,
Well, he works for me.
oh, okay. All right, that just wasn't clear. That wasn't clear, it just sort of said, it had his resume after yours. I sort of assumed that, but it wasn't clear, but, okay. So y'all have a relationship?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up then.
And question, Deborah, you're bringing, there's another member of your group that's that's an attorney too, right? We met him. Okay, and he's coming in with you.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, he'll be here if for some reason I cannot be.
Could you give us a little briefing on what his background, or where he come, he was on the
Well, he was on the
Flower Mound.
Council, and I know that Itamar's background is largely in real estate law and business law, and
Okay, so,
Itamar, and I am sorry, Itamar, I-T-A-M-A-R-G-E-L-B-M-A-N. He, G-E-L-B-M-A-N, he is an American citizen, but his family is Israeli, and in fact, he was raised in Israel and
come in as the same hourly rate as you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good, because I remember when we interviewed you and stuff like that, you know, he had quite a few things to say, and his background being from Flower Mountain Town Council and stuff really helps out knowing the area, knowing where we're at, and our town needs, and, you know, close by with other neighbors. So, it's good, I think. Any other questions from any council members relative to Ms. Edmondson? Nope. Well, I'll take a motion if anybody wants to vote for, give me a motion to open up voting for accepting an agreement for a contract for Ms. Edmondson's law firm.
Can I say one more?
Sure.
When we had our workshop for new council people back before we were sworn in, I don't know, and Deborah, it was about a 4-hour meeting. Councilmember Lippert was not in town, but the rest of us were. It was very informative. She gave a very good presentation on the new state legislature laws. She gave us extreme information on what it means to be a town council person. It's very important for those that haven't done that yet. And also, she gave you some good information too, Mayor, I think. And I just want to say that it's not like she's coming in here cold to most of us here. I feel like she's going to do a good job for us. And I have had some input that although she doesn't have any experience in it as a town attorney, I believe that her experience with towns as a council member, as in politics in town like Fairview and South Lake, and that she gets what we're doing here. And she's very open to discussion, and I think she'll be a good fit for Copper Canyon. And that being said, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the legal service agreement with the Edmondson Law Firm.
And is there a second on that? It's seconded. So motion was made by Councilman Castillo, seconded by Councilman Dahl. And that opens up voting for accepting a contract for the Edmondson Law Firm for Copper Canyon.
Aye.
That's a unanimous vote by the council. Then for Ms. Edmondson's law firm to accept working for Copper Canyon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your confidence in me. I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to working with the city and keeping you out of trouble.
That's hard to do. Just ask my wife. Okay, well, that solves those two problems. Right off the top of the bat there. Where's he? Go back to the. Yeah. We're going to, now the next item on the discussion part one is discuss and taking action on appointing 2 council members to the financial committee. The current ordinance says that the financial committee is made up of 6 members, and 2 of them will be from the town council. So I am nominating, personally nominating Janae Newton and Jeff Dahl to be on the financial committee representing from the town council and everything, filling those 2 slots for us. And I will, I guess, open the discussion on anybody that has any input for those items. Both of them have financial background. For those that don't know, Janae works in her own personal financial investment firm and everything locally here. And Jeff Dahl, of course, has a pretty good resume for background and for being charitable organizations and other things in financial profiles. And I forget, ran a few companies and things like that. So he's what we need to run our financial budget and keep an eye on things for Copper Canyon along with Janae. So I think it's two good choices, much better choices than myself being on the thing. So if there's any other discussion from anybody on those 2 jobs, 2 positions?
I just had
Sure.
real quick history. I mean, we never really got off the ground with the last finance committee. It was brand new. And I think there's probably going to be a need for us in a side workshop to try to determine how we want this committee to work and support Troy and staff. because it was originally set up to be just an advisory group with some subject matter experts. It wasn't meant to be like a parliamentary group, or there's no voting going on, right? So we don't want to create any bureaucracy,
Correct.
right? But we do need to try to figure out how we can best serve the staff and help without getting in their way too much.
So, go ahead.
I would second that. I look forward to setting up a process. That's kind of what I do for our business. My husband and I co-own a financial planning practice, and I think one of the main things that needs to happen is, that I do for our business is I'm a director of operations. I look at processes and procedures and try to implement those to best serve our clients, looking at best practices and making sure that we look at how we are servicing a client to make sure that we are doing the best things, that things are not just in our head, but that people can look transparently at what we're doing, and that we are looking at what are the policies and procedures for our town. And I want to translate that so that we are working together in conjunction with, the staff, and that the council can speak to our constituents and be able to talk about what it looks like as a cohesive unit, that we can look at all of the different places in which our budget can be tightened and can be fairly assessed in ways that we are speaking to our town in a very cohesive manner, that we are, it's good to hear that you are on the same page as far as workshopping and looking at, are there places that we can better serve our community?
And just for general public information, the process becomes the import of having this vote today and putting these people on their financial committee is the process starts at the end of July, when Denton County delivers us our financial position relative to property taxes and where we can start with, and then we'll build a budget underneath that. And that's going to has to be available by the 1st of October, when this current budget that we're operating under terminates. So that's the fiscal year to October 1st. So that's what they're going to be doing. We're going to start that process at the end of July. We're going to have one more meeting at the end of July here for us. If we have the numbers from Denton County, hopefully we will. And then we'll march that process through in August and September, and have as many open meetings as we can when they just set the priorities, and then we'll talk about what those priorities are with the town staff, with myself, and of course with the other members of the town council. So that's the process, and that's the import of having this vote today. Any other discussion items by the council members? I'll take a vote or a motion to open voting on appointing Councilman Janae Newton, Chairman, and Councilmember Jeff Dahl, member of the Financial Planning Committee.
I'll make the motion to appoint Councilmember Janae Newton as the chairman and Councilmember Jeff Dahl as a member of the Copper Canyon Town Finance Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So a motion was made by Councilmember Hubbard, seconded by Councilmember Liebert, and we'll take a vote on that issue.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. I guess you guys can pass. That closes that item out. Next item is discussion and can take action on appointing Greg Porter to the Planning and Zoning Commission, place number 5, with a term that expires in September 30th. The issue here is, due to the election and moving people around and stuff, we have an opening on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I don't believe we should have openings on commissions that are important like planning and zoning. So I've asked Greg, and he's in the audience here tonight, if he would take a position. He'd been on the committee before as a alternate, but I asked him if he would fill this position until we could run for new volunteers in September. So I'll open for discussion on Greg Porter taking a position as a planning and zoning commissioner.
I just want to say that I'm thankful that you've asked Greg, and I thank Greg for being willing to take this position, that we had an opportunity to go out as we were canvassing to speak with him, and I'm grateful for his knowledge and for his encouragement, that he has a wealth of experience. I'm grateful for any member of Copper Canyon that is willing to volunteer. I further encourage others to step forward and to serve our community, and specifically to Mr. Porter, that he has a lot to offer Copper Canyon, a great amount of experience, a lot of wisdom to offer Copper Canyon, and I'm very thankful that he is stepping forward to serve. He has a lot of different areas of expertise in the construction, financial, just a lot of planning, experience, and I'm looking forward to him being a part of the serving of Copper Canyon.
Anybody else? Greg, do you have anything to say? You want to say anything at all? I mean, your background is quite significant in development, in major building developments, hotels, those kind of things. And he's quite an asset to our community as far as developing and watching development occur in this town.
Drill, baby, drill.
Wrong thing to say.
It's pre-construction.
Yeah,
I mean, pre-construction development, I've done over $2 billion in the last several years. Been around.
been around.
Silly question. Mark
Please.
Papes is in the dialogue?
He was.
Okay.
He was. And he appreciated, he told me that the, appointment of Greg was a good choice, so,
It's a good committee. I enjoyed
Absolutely.
my 5 years on it.
absolutely. So, with that, I will take a motion to close discussion and open voting, on accepting Greg Porter for appointment in the planning and zoning.
I'll make a motion to appoint Greg Porter, Planning and Zoning, Place 5.
I'll second. Go ahead.
I'll second the motion.
There you go. Motion made by Councilman Lippert and seconded by Councilmember Hubbard. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that's a unanimous vote for that acceptance. Next item is discussion, take action on Nick Olson as a Board of Adjustment member, place number 3, with the term expiring once again September 30th, 2025. I'm going to open discussion on that. Nick, for full disclosure, lives up the street from me, and he's asked for volunteer. He's asked to join and get interested in positions and things like that, and we have this opening. And it's a short-term opening for him. Last year, the Board of Adjustments met one time, so it's not like it's a constant every month meeting situation, but it is an important one because it is a final decision process for anybody who maybe has been turned down on a project they wish to build or wish to do on their properties. So that's what the purpose of the Board of Adjustments is. And it's a short-term appointment too. Once again, we'll have to reassess and look for volunteers at in the September timeframe. But at least we're gonna have a full committee, and as was stated earlier, it's good to see a full committee on all our committees across the town, getting as much input as we can and as much, different viewpoints. Anybody else have any other input or any discussion on that? All right, very good. Well, I'll take a motion to open voting on Nick Olson for Board of Adjustment member, place number 3.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Nick Olson as a BOA member, place 3, term expiring September 30th, 2025.
I'll second the motion.
That motion was made by Councilman Castillo, and the motion was seconded by Councilmember Hubbard. And let's take a vote on that, please. All ayes.
Aye.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that motion passes once again unanimously. Okay, thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is the staff, mayor, and council reports. And I'll let Troy, if you'll start off.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor.
Stuff.
Thank you, Council. Just some quick updates and highlights of the administrator section of the report. Estes Bridge project, as you guys know, that's underway from an engineering perspective, and that's about a 12 to 15-month process. And so they had an opportunity to take some samples of the road, some geotech samples, so they went back, got those results, and so they're working on kind of designing that. The other thing they're looking at very closely is creating a temporary path or road as they demo the existing road that's out there today. So they're really looking at that and how that would happen, and so that we meet on a monthly basis. So they're hard at work trying to figure out how we're going to create a temporary crossing, get all the geotech and the engineering done on the project as well. And as I mentioned, it's about a 12 to 15 month just spent on engineering of that, because it's a pretty tricky crossing as well. So that's a quick update there. The other update I want to mention is we had a very successful July 4th event parade. The Woodlands Women Club did an outstanding job, Carol Owen and her team. I also want to recognize T, who's in the audience. For you that may not know what his role was, our parking across the street, it's not his property, but he went and mowed it twice to make sure it was adequate for us to park over there, because that was pretty critical to keep the streets clear and let the parade go through and come back and all that. So we had a great event, and as Ted was up here earlier, we had the opportunity to acknowledge Ted as the Resident of the Year award as well. So it was a great event. Also, just some other updates. Our 23-24 audit, we've got all the documents to our auditing firm, MWH, and they're looking to be on site this month because they always come on site and look at some of our processes and what we do. So we're looking to get that scheduled this month as well. As the mayor mentioned earlier, Denton County, the tax office is going to give us a final certified report by the end of July as far as tax revenue. So we'll have those numbers, and then we can start building our budget from there. So those things are coming. One of the other things that our court administrator has been working on is our delinquent accounts for our sewer. So as many of you guys know, or may not know, in Vickery they have sewer which gets treated by Flower Mound. And so they have a sewer rate that they pay to help us offset those costs. And so as it's a little bit different in our community, most communities you have a public works department, and the water department and the sewer department is kind of all in one. We have Cross Timbers Water, and then we collect a sewer rate separate from that. So a lot of times people don't realize that, even though they have to sign up for it to get connected, that type of thing, but sometimes it gets lost. So we had an opportunity, we had some delinquent accounts, so we addressed those, and so we've collected about a little over $8,000 worth of delinquent accounts. So we're almost done with all the big pieces of that. We have a few more to do, but I think we're made a lot of progress over the last 2 months. So I just wanted to recognize our court administrator for handling all that. Development updates, Copper Knolls Estates. As you guys know, they've had the inner circle done, the inner of the roads. They just finished the actual final section that connects it to Orchid Hill. They still have some dirt to bring in due to the wet weather we're having. It's been delayed, but I think they're still going to bring a couple loads of dirt in as it relates to that development. Jernigan Estates, they had to redo a patch in the road. The first time they made that attempt, it wasn't to our standards, so they have redone that. There is some erosion control measures that they need to take care of before we do a final acceptance. So we have not did the final acceptance on public improvements for Jernigan Estates at this time. Quarterhorse Estates, we are still waiting for their downstream assessment. We haven't heard back from them. We've reached out to them, and I'm not sure kind of where they're at with that, but there's still some pieces they have to get to us before that project will move forward. Let's see, Awney Ranch, that final plat was approved on the 9th, and we're reviewing all the construction documents, and I got an email today from the developer. They're still working on the closing piece of that property as well. So that's where that is. Then we've got a few minor plats. We've got a 4-lot plat, minor plat request on Hickory Road, which is referred to as Twin Oaks. We just received a final application and payment, so that's under review. We have 10 days to review that as well. So that's where that one's at. And then we have East Hickory Road, which is in our ETJ. We have a landowner that has currently divided up into 3 lots. He wants to make 1 lot, so that one will be pretty straightforward. We've got a minor plat, which is right across the street. We are also waiting for some additional survey work to be done on that because there's a creek that runs through that, so we're waiting for that information to come in as well. But that's a general update of where we are as far as our minor plats that are out there for our review.
Troy, is this Hickory Hill plat, is that on P and Z's next meeting?
It's not on because we haven't, which one are you talking about, the 4-lot one?
Yeah.
So the minor plat doesn't not have to go to P and Z.
Right, 'cause it's
So it's done administratively.
minor, right.
That is correct.
Right.
We had the 4-lot development go to a DRC meeting because they needed some additional feedback. So we did do that due to the drainage that's involved in that particular location. And so we asked them to go to a DRC meeting on that. They haven't gotten back with us on some of their detention areas and how it's going to discharge on the adjacent property. We're waiting for that. We gave them the direction to go get the adjacent landowners' acknowledgement that they realize how they're going to do the drainage on those lots. And so we're waiting for that those documentations to come back to us. But they are minor plats, so they're not required.
Where
to
is
go.
that on Hickory Hill?
You know where the sharp turn is?
Uh-huh.
So right there on that turn, you've got 4 lots that'll go
Okay.
there, and then a little bit further down, you have the ETJ piece.
Oh, okay.
So just,
I had a couple of comments on the Estates Drive Bridge. At what point will we be bringing in Chief Vaughn and Ma and getting input from the fire department as far as emergency services coming in for how we're gonna get the people in and out? At what point in the process?
So once we get a feel for what type of bridge or temporary entrance they're gonna do, and I think probably in the next 2 months, we're gonna know that,
Okay.
we can pull them in on that for sure.
And also, you sort of skipped over the July 4th parade because you
Yes.
did a really good job on that. I mean, you have, your strength is in event planning, and I've lived here 20 years, and literally it was one of the best ones that we've had. The parade started here with Chief Vaughn and the fire trucks, which
Right.
is always awesome, and the vintage vets, and that was a great new thing we did. Went all the way down Woodlands around on Chin Chapel, and it was just, I think this was by far the best 4th of July party that we've had. It was professional. You had the tents over here, like people weren't crowded. Anyway, I just want to thank you for doing that, and Sheila.
Yes.
You guys did, and we got the popcorn machine, which
Yes.
is huge. And one other thing is, I know how hard that you worked to do, and also Mayor, to get the delinquent sewer accounts. That's been going on for a while. And so that's huge that you guys put that together and did it in a nice way where
Yes.
those people at Vickery, the new residents there, maybe they didn't know.
Yeah.
And so they all stepped up and paid their fine. And it may not sound a lot, but $8,800 is money that we now have in our budget. And so thank you, and thank you for taking care of that, so.
And I'll share the importance of that because on the agenda tonight, we're going to consider a rate study, and it takes care of most of that fee, so.
I also wanted to tag on and say thank you to just Ted Stranzik for, also to say thank you to his son for allowing Victoria Hubbard and her husband and I to ride in his super awesome Pontiac convertible in the parade. And I grew up in a small town of 10,000 people, and we absolutely rivaled. I want to say thank you to Troy, Mayor, to Sheila, to everyone, to the Woodlands, the women of Woodlands, to just everyone that came out. I wish I could remember the little girl that gave me the awesome bead yellow necklace that sits on my bathroom counter. I could absolutely just cry tears of joy to have grown up into a small town of, like I said, 10,000, and we just absolutely rivaled it. To have that small town community feel, that rural feel, that just really makes it was the highlight of my summer. that moment to be amongst friends and community people, to talk like that, it makes all of this stuff just absolutely worth it. And I just want to say thank you to all of the things that you guys did to come out early, to line things up, to come together like that. That is really what it's all about. And that is my absolute heart. Just literally for someone to take baby Ryder is my favorite baby in the entire Copper Canyon community, for the grandmother to take me aside and to want to take a picture with me, like that just, why? Like that is everything. And to just thank you for the time right now to even let me say that. That is everything. So if you see me in Walmart, if you see me in the grocery store, if you see me wherever, just know that you always have my ear, you always have my time, and I'm just really grateful for all that you all did for those moments, because I know how hard you work every day, and that really, it made my year.
Thank
And I'm just so grateful for all that you do. For Chief Vaughn to come over and talk to me, just to give me a few moments of your time, thank you. Thank you for leading the parade. Thank you for those moments. It really, you have no idea what that does. It really means everything. So thank you all for your time, for your volunteeristic spirit, for all that you do. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
So I can hardly match anything you just said, Jimmy. So that was fantastic, you know. But it was a terrific parade, and I said when I took this job that we're gonna have fun. And July 4th was absolutely the first day of having fun again here in Copper Canyon, and we're gonna keep going on. Troy did a great job. Sheila did a great job. You know, I watched them working and sweating like crazy that day in the morning early. So everything was prepped and ready to go, and we kicked off that parade right at 10 o'clock. And as we well know, I started a mayoral Volunteer of the Year award that day. And the reason I did that is because we have a history in Copper Canyon of volunteering to help our neighbors in floods, in tornado damage, and whatever else you got going on. But we also like staying in our houses and our own ranches and farms and 1 acre lots or whatever you got going. But we do volunteer. And I couldn't think of a better person to start off with than Ted Stranzik. The amount of time I've seen that man work over the last 7, 8 years is absolutely tremendous. And his wife Judy lets him do it. And that's all I can say about that. When nothing else needs to be said, can we do anything about for Ted? So thank you, Ted, for all your volunteering time. And I hope I'm going to continue the award, and I hope that in the future, mayors will continue that award at that parade when the whole town comes together and is available out there, and we make it even bigger next year. I do want to talk about the sewer rates down in the Vickery project and stuff like that. For those who don't understand that and may not know, most municipalities, sewer is involved with your water bill, so you pay one bill. Here at Copper Canyon, those people, those houses down there pay 2 bills. Most of them didn't know that. A lot of them didn't know that and stuff. So when I found out that we had a significant number of households that were back and overdue with penalty fees, I authorized, with conversation with Troy, a discount on their penalty fees. They still had to pay their full fee, of course, for usage, but I discounted their penalty fees significantly if they signed up for automatic payments. They did it within 5 days, and they made the rest of their bill full. And so that's going to help us out in the future as far as getting payments and things and make sure those people don't fall behind. But it also didn't penalize the people very much, or as significant as it could have been, for them not knowing they had 2 bills.
So question,
Yes, ma'am.
is there a reason as to why they were delinquent? I mean, I know I get my bill from Cross Timbers Water. Were they not getting a bill?
They more than likely were getting a bill, but just didn't realize it was separate from their water bill, because they have to sign up for the service. So there's an initial $60 fee
Right.
once they initially sign up. So there may have been some confusion. They got their water bill, they thought they had it paid because that's what they did in the previous town, and then when our bill came in,
So we were not sending them like past due bills?
Yes,
Yes, we were.
yeah.
But there was reasons why people were doing it and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but you don't get a sewer bill because you're on a septic system.
Yeah, no,
And that's the whole thing, and so this is the one section of town that has sewer system, and the one section of town that people who have moved here from Flower Mound, from Frisco, from whatever, that had that all covered in one bill, now they're going, well, what's this piece of paper doing, and they throw it out. So that's kind of what happened a little bit, and we finally caught up with it. It got big enough that we had to make a decision, but at least we were able to take him and make him all whole, for the most part. We're not all totally done yet, right, Troy?
That's correct.
But we're getting close. We're getting close, so.
I will say it is a little confusing. I lived there myself, but the only reason I knew about it is because Toll Brothers obviously lets you know. So something to be, mindful of is probably when those properties do sell for a second time, a third time, the current owner's not gonna let them know most likely, so.
Right.
How
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a confusing situation and stuff. I thought tolerance was the best course of action we could do. And I do want to say on the parade, one thing I forgot to say, I want to thank the Copper Canyon residents for paying for the hamburgers. We had In-N-Out burgers here, big hit. Everybody loves them for the most part. And we had terrific hot dogs by Carol and Bob Owens and the Woodlands Women's Group. Always fantastic as our support for that parade. So it was a big hit. And we're going to make it the same way next year too, I hope.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to continue. We have an item on the staff report related to Safe Build, so I wanted to give a quick overview on the services that they provide. What Safe Build provides for us is plan review, they provide a permit tech, and they also do code enforcement on a as-needed basis. I know in the fall of last year, we had brought them on to do code enforcement, and there was initially going to be a monthly fee where they would be here driving around a couple times a month. As we were progressing through that, the decision was made to just bring them on as an as-needed basis. And so we pay a daily rate when we call them out to look at any issues that may come up. And then, of course, plan review. Each time they'll review all of our new homes, so everything in Williams Ranch, any new home that's built in Copper Canyon. Their plan review team will review that to go along with that. They'll also review any large accessory buildings to go along with that. If there's any development questions, they also have a planner on their team as well. So if there's a question, does something match with our ordinance, or is our ordinance too vague or something like that, a lot of times we'll give them a call and just get their insight on that, get their feedback. So that's the level of service that we get from Safe Build. Any questions related to that?
I think that Greg has a question, but I do have a question about several things. The code enforcement, I know that I've heard the term complaint-based, we'll call them on a complaint, like if there's a complaint,
Sure.
correct? I think what that does, unfortunately, is put the responsibility on our residents. If your neighbor their fence is falling down, or their yard isn't mowed, or they're, dumping dirt without a permit, we have to come to some solution with that, because I don't think that it's fair for our residents to have to call in and have a complaint against their neighbor about a code violation. It's in our ordinances. Somebody should be monitoring that. And now, you and I know that because we've had multiple conversations. You unfortunately have to stop what you're doing and run out there. I mean, that happened, a couple weeks ago?
Sure.
For a neighbor calling
Right.
on an issue. To me, that wasn't the spirit of hiring Safe Built, because we all got excited about the contract. They're going to handle code enforcement when we let go our in-house code enforcement person. And the reason that we did that, allegedly, was because it was going to save us money, because it was cheaper to go with an outside subcontractor to monitor code enforcement than to have an employee. I think that I would like to see, when we do our financial budget, that we see if we can put that back in. Number one, I don't think it's worth Troy's time to be running out and checking if you know, somebody's popping off firecrackers or somebody, anything like that. Code enforcement is very important, and I think that we need to have somebody monitoring that. It doesn't make sense for us to call Safe Built to come out and look at somebody's fence for $650. I think that was their day rate in their contract. And also, the other question I have about Safe Built is, there are multiple places in our website where if somebody wants to have a contractor application, or they want to file a permit or anything like that, it goes to coppercanyontex@safebuilt.com. And so my question is, do you guys get a copy of that?
So yes, so what happens when they submit that permit or that grading permit or whatever that application is, it goes to Safe Build. They then download it into our system called FundView.
Okay.
So we have an opportunity to look at that the moment that that's entered into the system. So
Okay.
we have access to that.
And
And
then-
a lot of companies that provide this type of service require you to use their system. So that's another positive thing about Safe Build, that they download and learned our system, and they input all those applications into our system. So we look at it immediately once it's inputted.
So that gets alerted to you and or Sheila or town staff? Okay.
correct.
How many do we
So
get
that's good.
on average a month, do you think?
As far as permits,
Just kind of complaints or
compl-
requests for enforcement control or?
It varies. I mean, in the summertime, we'll get more than we will in the wintertime, typically. We may get, 2 or 3 a month, that we go investigate and kind of see what's going on. And then
Do you
the
guys
win-
go out first before they do, or? do we
Yeah,
just-
typically I'll go see, kind of what's going on. If we get a citizen's concern or a citizen's complaint, on an address or something, I'll make that call to that citizen and say, okay, tell me a little bit more about what's going on and what the concern is. And then if it warrants us, bringing Safe Build on, then we do. There's been some tall grass situations where I called the resident and said, hey, your grass is getting tall, and they said, okay, well, I'll mow it, I'm out of town, or, whatever the case may be. There's been a few situations like that. So we'll typically do a general investigation, and then if Safe Build needs to come out, we call them out.
I have a question. So why couldn't it be handled much like most HOAs do? Which is, they go, depending on the season of the year, it's one time a month, and they basically do a drive-through.
Right.
And they drive through all the streets in the subdivision, and they just note, and the people that do it know what the code inside of the HOA. Why couldn't we do the same thing with hiring them instead of as needed, one day a month, and they drive around, they know the code, and then you don't have to wait on the neighbor. My issue with the neighbor is, if somebody gets turned in, you know who that person is gonna turn to, they're gonna look to their neighbor and go, so-and-so turned me in, and that's gonna create animosity in the neighborhood. But if there's anonymity, it's not the neighbor, it's somebody from the city that, also keeps the neighbor happy.
Right. Yeah, council, if that's the direction you guys want to move, we can certainly look at that. If you want to have more what they call proactive code enforcement, you can certainly do that.
Well, I think if we had more proactive, what was going on with that building on Canyon Bluff would have been caught when the foundation was poured, maybe, or maybe even before that. So
Right.
there's a lot of things that,
Certainly.
we can be more proactive.
Troy, I have a question. I'm just looking at it from a numbers perspective, and I'm just wondering what the historical record keeping is. Do you have information as to how code enforcement was done previously, and what numbers to numbers? I'm looking to kind of compare apples to apples. So how code enforcement was done previously, what the budget looked like previously, and how many calls there were, how much that cost previously, what that looked like, as to how it's being done now, like how many calls, like are you keeping records as to how many calls you're having to do and how well that's being taken care of before you have to call Safe Built? Then can Safe Built provide, records as to how many calls they're getting, how much that's costing us? So we can kind of look at records-wise what things look like previously, what that cost us, what it's looking like, how much you're having to take care of, because you're having to take time out of your day, and this is how much you get paid, and how taxing that is for you. And so I'm just looking at numbers primarily, so I can kind of do.
I'll tell you what, let's, that's all good discussion. It's great
So,
discussion, I
just-
think, but it's not
those
really.
are questions I'd like,
Great
we can
questions.
talk later
Yeah, they're all
about
great
that.
questions, and I
We can
think it's a
talk
good
about that
thing
later.
that we need to assess when the budget gets for next year is really developed and we decide how we want to go with enforcement and things like that. And I'll say this, over 40 years ago when I moved here, I was handed HOA guidelines in Chin Chapel North. They never were enforced or anything like that. But I think, and like I said when we first started, we have 5 people up here that know the court, that should know and will know the ordinances more than most people.
Yeah.
And I've asked us, I do it all the time, I drive around this town, I drive down the back roads, I drive down the paths and stuff, and I take a look at the houses, and I take a look at what's going, Troy does it too. So, in my, knowing the people of this town, having somebody drive around and enforcing and saying we want to have a daily thing is not something they're looking for, that's why they live here. But it's a good discussion, I think we're gonna have that, and let's move it to an agenda item later on down in the meeting, say after we get in the budget discussion.
I think it deserves a discussion, because
Yes.
it happened pretty quick when we
Yeah.
brought them in, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of confusion and questions.
I totally agree, we'll have a discussion in the budget item.
Mr. Mayor, just a
Yes, sir.
real quick history snapshot on the Safe Built. Safe Built, when we first brought them in, it was a rocky, rough start, and I know there's a lot of discussion on enforcement, but what we realized is they enforce exactly what's in our ordinances, as you alluded to. And our ordinances with respect to a lot of larger rural properties, just land in general, is more of a Lantana subdivision restrictive control, which may be what everybody wants, but when we sent them out, I would say half this town could be cited for something, and then that's not what we're looking for, obviously. Egregious violations, but the next step is to go back to our ordinances and look at them individually and say, okay, does this really need to be in there? And that was kind of where we started with the subdivision ordinance. It's supposed to be the, chapter 14, but now we're just getting there.
And that's where and you're exactly right, that's where we're gonna start bringing this council to next, is reviewing those ordinances and things. So if you don't mind, is that okay?
Yeah.
We'll terminate this discussion.
Sure.
On the subject, and then we'll go on to the next one. But, it will be discussed for the budget item. Mr. Porter?
Mine's quick. Have we hired Safe Built?
Yes,
Okay. Do we have a list of their services that they're providing?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, and the last thing I'll say is enforcement policy don't have to be the same company.
Yes, that's true. That's all the things we're gonna discuss.
In fact, I would
Yep.
encourage it not.
Okay.
How can I get that list of services?
What they do plan review, they do,
I'm well aware of what they do.
Okay.
That's my problem, so I want to know.
They have a contract, and it's in our, they signed it, they meaning the
yeah. if you-
previous administration and the contract.
I'm just kind of curious, because I have very different experiences, obviously, with them than you guys have.
Yeah.
But it would be
We'll dig that up and we'll get it to you in your email and stuff. Okay? Go to that, Sheila, or whatever. Thank you. Next item is, of course,
Wait, hang on, Mayor. we
building.
got a
Oh, we have more? We
cou-
have
couple
more.
more things. And so, you got another question?
Well, when you're done, I'm gonna ask about Canyon Bluff.
Okay, gotcha. So we've got building inspector, and I think that topic was brought up as well. And what we used to put in our admin report was we used to put in the number of permits that were issued as it relates to new homes, new construction, new homes in Williams Ranch, accessory buildings, pool permits. And then we had a line item for other permits that would consist of everything from flat work to plumbing to culverts, that type of thing. And if the council wants us to bring that report back as part of our administrative report, staff report, we certainly can do that if that's the direction that you guys want to do. To be more informed as it relates to the building inspector, because once we issue those permits, obviously, he's doing all the inspections associated with those permits. And so, for example, like a new home, there's probably 10 to 15 inspections that he'll do over the course of that home being from start to finish. And didn't know what details, or how much details you guys wanted as it relates to that.
We'll have each one, we'll get that example out to each one of the council members and have them look at it and then give you an input back to that.
Okay, perfect.
Could that be a P&C function?
Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's after the fact, yep, exactly, so, okay. So the next, I'll have the chief, if he, the police chief come up, and if he's next on the staff agenda, if he wants to give a quick update on kind
Councilman
of the.
Dalton, Councilman Dalton, do you have one more question?
There is not. They came to court, they paid a fine, and now they need to pay that fine and submit their conditional use permit.
So there's still no permit that's been issued?
That is correct. Chief?
Good evening. So for all of June, we had about 33 calls for service, and that includes everything from minor calls to traffic enforcement. There was about 103 citations. That includes both warnings and hard citations that were issued by the three of us. We still seem to be trending a lot of fraud and theft of service type calls. We had a traffic crash and a stolen vehicle recovery in Williams Ranch that Officer Weisinger assisted with. It wasn't, I think it was more of was it a joyride, essentially?
That's what it looks like. Looks like somebody stole it out of the power mount and then just dumped it over.
And it's because of all the construction, and it wasn't a torn-up vehicle, it kind of blended in with the vehicles in that area, so, which was probably their reason for dropping it off. Training-wise, we had Officer Weisinger completed the Active Shooter 1 instructor course. It's another course that's free, provided by the state. Other than that, the parade was well-attended. We really enjoyed coming out for that, and really enjoyed seeing you all there, so. Again, I encourage you, you see something, say something, give us a holler. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to come by during the week. I'm usually there, though hearing I may end up getting deployed with the State Guard for the continued flooding in the Central Texas area. But by all means, Texas, there's a tip line on the website that you can send information as well.
Thanks for what you guys do.
And I would like to add on something really quick for us. At the suggestion of Councilman Castillo here, we're updating our voicemail on our phone here in the town hall, and that way it's going to be easier for people to get, if they have an emergency situation, to get to 911. And that's an important issue, is that if you have an emergency, you got to call 911 up. Our police officers are on patrol. They don't sit by the office over here and everything during the day and at night. And so if you have a real emergency, dial 911, that'll go to Denton County Dispatch, and then they'll get a hold of our officers or our fire department or whatever you need. So don't expect our office to be manned 24/7, because it isn't here at the town hall for a police department recovery.
Thank you, Mayor. And that voicemail will be updated by Wednesday of this week. And then, Mayor, we have the engineer report. Chris Harkey, our town engineer, couldn't make it tonight because he's celebrating his son's 18th birthday. So he had some other plans come up, so he's doing that. But he did want me to pass along that they are currently looking at the engineer manual, and what they're going to do is give recommendations on some changes or updates to that manual, probably within the next 2 weeks. So that's coming soon. And then now we'll turn it over to Chief Vaughn for the fire department.
Evening, Mayor, Council. I'll keep it very brief. One, I just do want to commend the staff and Council Mayor for the July 4th parade. It was a big hit. You know, I have a different perspective because, as you know, we serve 5 towns and so a large area. And we had 4 events that day alone, not including the week before. So we see a lot of July 4th. And, you know, just the community spirit of Copper Canyon, you know, the charm, the small town, especially being that close to the Metroplex, is just really amazing. So I really commend staff and everyone. The community that showed up involved in the parade and all the July 4th activities was really, really something special. So hats off to everyone involved in that. June was very busy for us. We're 6 months into the calendar year, but we're not as busy as last year. We're about 3% up on our call volume for the year. Compared to last year, we're about 18%. So we are definitely busier, but we're not as busy as we were last year. Right now, I would typically be talking to you about wildfires. That's not really a problem right now. It's unusual. I've never seen July this wet. As you know, everybody knows about everything that's going on down south. It's been, a very sad story, but what's going on, we've had some teams on standby, ready to go. We have not deployed anybody, but we do have some teams ready. It's just been very unfortunate, but that's just Mother Nature, and sometimes that's how it goes. But I usually would be telling you, giving you some warnings about, wildfire stuff, but that's not really a big issue right now. The biggest news for us, we did get our new ambulance for Station 513. It came last week. That's for the fire station, our third fire station on Copper Canyon Road. So we're in the process of getting all the equipment mounted on that. So we're hoping like maybe by next week we'll have it in service. We have had the ambulance in service. Keep in mind, this was supposed to arrive in February, and the manufacturer gave us a loaner ambulance. So we've been running the ambulance, but now we're going to get our ambulance. So it's going to be nice to actually have our ambulance. And so we will be doing what we call a push-in ceremony, kind of to commemorate, and we'll invite all the town out and to see that, and to see the new ambulance. Also, we are in negotiation with our fourth fire station, which is in North Lake, with the manufacturer of that. It's being delayed, and so we're having some negotiations where they're going to pay us some penalties for some of the delays for that, so we're working on that process. I'll get more, in the coming weeks, I'll get more information on that. Other big news for us, on July 8th, the Commissioners Court did appoint our two new commissioners, so ESD 1 and 2. So we had a vacancy in both ESDs, and so we have Commissioner David Reddick and Commissioner Scott Funderburg who are filling those positions appointed by the Commissioners Court. Other news for us, just like y'all, we're starting in the budget process. We do have a finance subcommittee, much similar to what y'all do. They work with our staff and they provide recommendations as we go through the budgeting process. So it sounds like y'all do something very similar to what we do. Other than that, we had a lot of activities this summer. This Friday, we finished up our junior firefighter camp. We had summer science series where we did the snakes and the weather and electricity. And I think we had, Megan told me we had 270 kids for the summer science series. We had 90 firefighters, junior firefighters who completed the camp. So overall, we have 360 kids, and it was just that's our biggest one ever. So we find ways to grow it. It's always a lot of fun. It gives the kids something to do, and it's kind of a recruiting way. We get to kind of encourage the kids, hey, be a firefighter someday. So other than that, we just I'll keep it short with that, and I'll take any questions you have.
No questions for me. The one question I do have, though, is relative to the Knox box on, we get those completed on Boots Ranch, and I know we have them done on Copper Creek Estates now. Is Boots Ranch done?
So Boots Ranch, they've ordered it. They're trying to get it installed. I talked to them earlier, or late last week. So
Okay.
they're in the process of, like I said, they've ordered it. I believe they have it in hand, and they're looking to get it installed.
So we get it installed, we'll put the keys in there and we're good to go.
There you go. And so for those who don't know, if you have a private gate, we have in our ordinance, at a single residence, you're supposed to have a box that has access for the fire department / police department to be able to get in, or they're gonna break down your gate if you call for an emergency recovery or emergency services, that kind of thing. Up on the wall, there's a TV screens as an example of a box that's by the code of a person's gate and allows the person to put inside there the code, the clicker, whatever it is to open your gate up. And that'll prevent you from having to have your gate knocked down by our fine fire department, which they love to do.
There's a
And
couple
so-
different versions of that, and if you need more
Yes.
information, contact me. Obviously, you can imagine someone has a heart attack or whatever, and they've got, they're sitting on 10 acres, and we gotta get in there. Now, we're gonna get in there one way or the other, but we prefer not to tear up the gate, and so, it's just something we require, we encourage everybody to do it, so if you need information, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, it's just one, this is one example, and we have 2 tags on our website that lead you, gate owners, that can lead you to have either certified your number with Denton County or this kind of system here where the code is right at the gate unseen.
Chief, what general cost for one of these? Because there's a lot of gates in
It can
town.
vary. I mean, it can vary to how sophisticated you want it.
What
there's-
does our ordinance require, I guess,
I,
would be the
I
question.
think the minimum, there's like a padlock one in there.
Yeah, I believe there's a padlock,
With a
says
padlock
unless you're a
version
big
of it,
development,
it's a-
if you're greater than 4 lots, then you're getting the Opticom system and the keypad. and
You
the
can
whole
do
deal
it
with
as
Knox
elaborate as you want. You can have the thing like the strobe light where our lights will open the gate for you. I mean, it's kind of, you can do whatever.
Yeah.
Some places require specific, like apartment complexes, they'll do stuff like that, so I don't know how that
We
works.
just added them in our subdivision, I live in Copper Creek Estates, and it cost us, we have 2 gates, it cost us $1,200
Yeah.
to buy it and have it installed.
And
So
that's,
the
that's the
price is-
fancy one?
So,
It's just, it's by Knox, it's Knox box. It's
so
not
Chase,
fancy.
it's a box similar to this, but when you ordered that particular box, because they're about $600 a piece, it comes with a key.
Universal
that-
key
Specific
for the
to
fire.
us.
That's specific to our ESD. So when you order it, the question they're gonna ask you, who provides your fire service?
Right.
And so when you put that in there, then they code that key to match their key that they have in their fire truck and ambulances and
And
whatnot.
so on our equipment, we have these boxes in that our ID, that our firefighters had to put in to get that key out.
Right.
And that's how they open the gates. It's not like a key that's just floating around and being used, but it is specific to us. It's very common in most,
I can tell you that box there costs $50 off Amazon.
It looks like a $50 box, which,
No, that wasn't what we got.
yeah.
No, that is not
Which
what
is
you got.
fine.
Well, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told that we cannot, the town nor the fire department cannot regulate for individual homes and individual gate entrances. That's what I was told. So whatever you can do to have your access, if you don't want your gate knocked down, that's up to you. Registering with Denton County or having a system like that right at your gate, either one's fine. But we're supposed to have one.
How do your guys track everybody's number? Folks that provide their gate code number? Do they
So-
have it on a,
they put it in the CAD notes, so if we get that, they'll put it in a dispatch CAD note. So when we get the call, the 911 call comes across our computer screen, we can get that off the.
your gate code will be displayed there?
Yeah.
Okay.
We get it from the dispatch. And the police also use that as well.
Okay, thank you, Chief, appreciate it. Next item is a consent agenda, which is administrative routine in nature, and we have quite a few items on there. Do I have to read each one of these, Julie? Do I have to read each one of these?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. One is to approve the June 16, 2025, thank you, Deborah. Minutes from the special council workshop meeting, approve the June 9th, 2025 meeting minutes for the council meeting, approve the May 25th, 2025 financials, approve the June 2025 financials, and approve the interlocal cooperation agreement with Denton County and the Copper Canyon Police Department for the use of the Denton County radio communication systems for 1 more year, or beginning October 1st and ending September 3rd, 2025, and ending September 30th, 2026. And the final item, approve the interlocal cooperation agreement for shared governance, communications, and dispatch services between Denton County and the Copper Canyon Police Department for the term beginning October 1st, 2025, and ending on September 30th, 2026. So that's how the last 2 items are how we communicate with our police officers through Denton County Dispatch. And when you call for an emergency issue or whatever, or 911, that's how our officers are notified, through Denton County. And the other items are paperwork recovery items for, of course, meeting minutes and things like that. So I'll open up. Is there any discussion on any of those items at all?
Yes, I have a couple of things on the budget, especially since we're about to go into planning. Under administration expenditures, attorney legal fees, we've already covered that, which were over budget. And, but if you go down to engineering services, our budget for the year was 60,000, and right now we're 89,000 through June. So we still have July, August, September. Is there what's the explanation for being over budget, basically 150%?
So that comes with, when we started having Chris come to just all the meetings as it relates to development. We've had a lot of development over the past, 12 months. And I think when utilizing their services, and then we've had some drainage issues come up that we needed to take care of and recognize as well. So it's a combination of those things, issues that we've had in Copper Creek, issues that were in Jernigan. So some of those costs stem from that.
Okay, we just need to make sure that we either plan accordingly or be a little bit more judicial with our engineering, because, that's 150% over budget, that's a lot. And then, under professional services, we had February 15,000 and then May 19,000. Is that, professional services including Dunaway,
Yes.
Safe Bill, all the other subs that we have?
That is correct. So a large portion of that is the Dunaway contract. That contract was initially for $30,000. And so as we were progressing through that process, they were receiving payments on those services.
So
And we still-
30,000, we're over budget, I assume, on that?
No, so for professional services, we budgeted 120,000.
Okay,
And year-to-date, we're at 76,000.
right.
So we're still under budget on, as a whole on that.
And also with the Dunaway contract, we're under budget, I guess, if we budget 60, you said?
The contract was for 30,000.
Oh, 30,
Yeah.
okay.
That's correct.
And then one thing that kind of stuck out, if you go down to O&M expenditures, what is miscellaneous expenses?
Those are things, Sheila, and I'll let you answer that, but those are just miscellaneous expenses that come in that we may not have a line item for.
Because the budget is $2,500. Then if you look over in January, there was a $9,213 expense under miscellaneous expenses.
That was due to, we had a check that got hijacked, I guess, and was cashed.
Okay.
And so we had to record that until the investigation was done,
Okay,
and the bank notified us, so we got that credit back. But that's what that was for, and so we put it under miscellaneous expenses. So in January, you see the expense hit,
right,
and then in March, you see the credit come back.
right, I saw that. I was just
So-
wondering, so
yeah,
it
so
was
that's-
basically a check that was fraudulently cashed
Correct,
against Copper Canyon, and then you just put it back when we settled it?
that is correct.
Perfect.
The bank gave us some money back.
Okay, perfect. That's a good
Correct.
explanation.
And that's generally what that line item is used for.
Okay.
just
It
things
just
that
kind of
come up that
stuck
are
out
important.
at me. I'm like,
Absolutely,
okay, we
great
took
question.
9 out and then we put it back
Yeah.
in, but that's good to know, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Perfect question.
I was gonna ask you some budget questions too, but I
Sure.
mean, she actually hit a bunch of them.
Okay.
But I will say, after looking at operating budgets for 40 years across
Mhm.
30-some countries, you're pretty spot on,
Okay,
right? I mean, there's 2 months left for the town to know. I mean, our fiscal period ends in September.
Right.
So there's only a couple months left in budget.
correct.
And I was really surprised on the income side how, I mean, we're spot on there. With the
Right.
exception of that transfer from the crime control,
Right.
the 200K.
Yeah, you'll start seeing that
Yeah.
appear.
Yeah, but if
Absolutely.
you strip that out, you're right on target.
Right.
Which is great. So from a macro perspective, you guys did a pretty good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so just so you guys know, so the items like legal fees, there's a couple other items that may be over a little bit as well. So at the end of as we get to the end of the fiscal year and into the budget cycle, municipalities will do budget amendments. And so if you look at the budget as a whole, that we're not over on our total expenditures. And so we'll start moving money, like if we came in under for software purchases for the town and say we're under by 10, we'll take that 10 and move it up to attorney fees. And then after we do those budget amendments, then we kind of have a true indicator that says this is how much we spend. And then the question is, well, why did we spend that? Were there some things that happened over the course of the year that we couldn't predict? And then we look at those and then we start planning for the next fiscal year. So those budget amendments will still come in. And the goal for us is not to go over our total budget. And then right now, as Councilmember Jeff mentioned, that we have 3 more months, and we're under budget as it relates to expenses by almost a little over 600,000. And we typically Well, our operating expenses may run anywhere from 80 to 100,000, minus any tax note payments that we do in February. Those are the big ones. And we don't have any of those coming up. We'll pay an interest on those in August, which are pretty minimal. So we don't have any big expenses coming up in this operation budget.
I did see one thing that was kind of interesting. So both the insurance policies, it looks like we were under budget on that. Did the rates go up after we budgeted? Is that what, is that the explanation there?
The TML insurance?
Well, there's the, under O&M, and then there's also
The PD?
under PD. Both those,
I think we were pretty close to on target and maybe a little over on those.
were actually, you're 10 off on both of them roughly.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just wondering if maybe rates went up after we budgeted.
Yeah, there were some rate adjustments. They do their audits, and then they come back to us and say, okay, we all need to adjust it. One of the fees this year is the full year of insuring the building next door, and so that came
So we
in.
probably added that. That was
Yeah.
probably a rider or
So
something.
that,
or-
yeah,
okay.
so that was 7,000 alone, which we were
probably-
normally not accustomed to seeing. We put some funds in there to accommodate that, but those numbers finally came in for this year.
Okay, all right. Good. Okay. All right, very good. Well, that solves that. Finish this, do we have to take a vote on that? Let's take I'd like to open the, end discussion and open for a motion to vote on the consent items 1 through 6 as read.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 1 through 6.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Hubbard and seconded by Councilman Libbert. Can I have an A's in, all in favor? Let's say that. All in favor?
Aye.
And that's passed by unanimous vote. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, please, is the action and discussion items. I'm going to reorientate the items here for just a second. Well, the subdivision ordinance, we have a briefing by
Dunaway.
Steve. So are you willing, do you want to start your briefing now on that and do that because you were interested in moving up?
It's your agenda.
Yep. Go ahead and let's go cover his briefing on the subdivision ordinance, and we're going to get that to the final agenda, and we'll talk about how we're going to handle that later on after the briefing on the adjustments. And this is the representative from Dunaway is briefing us on the changes to the subdivision ordinance.
And as Stephen's preparing his laptop, just want to kind of give you guys a brief update. So this version that we have, that he will present, that he has presented, and that's in the packet, electronic packet as well, the 80 some odd pages. If you guys recall, we were in progress of getting that all finalized up in April. And then the mayor wanted the new council to take a look at it, and so y'all had an opportunity to take a look at it. Then there was some feedback presented to Dunaway and Stephen and his team, so they went back and made those changes as well. And then we had the new attorney come aboard tonight, and so we want now her team to kind of look at it. And so tonight is more of Dunaway giving their final update and presentation of that ordinance. And then Deborah's team will look at it, and then it'll get represented on the 28th as well. Because with the new legislation, we want to make sure that, and since they just closed that session here recently, just want to make sure everything falls in line. We believe it does, but wanted our new attorney to take a look at it. And then, Stephen, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Mayor, Council, my name is Stephen Cook. I'm Senior Planner with Dunaway Associates, and I've had the pleasure over the last 7 months as Mr. Quincy said that, of working with the town and working on the subdivision ordinance. If we go to the next slide, please, Troy. So the point of this project was to analyze and update the subdivision ordinance. It had been slightly modified last August, but there was a lot of things in the ordinance that was historic to the town that had not been updated. There were references to certain types of development plans and other kinds of things that state legislature kind of had taken out, and it did not meet the state legislature on timing of review of certain types of subdivision plats. It did not have a very strong process in place in that. And overall, we wanted to make sure that the platting process is what the subdivision ordinance is for, is compliant with state law. It is also provides a clear path as to how you get certain kinds of plats approved. And we also wanted to make sure that there was a very specific process in which new developments come through the town, and how staff reacts, how your planning and zoning commission reacts, and how your yourselves as council reacts and approves things. So in addition to that, we wanted to, Troy, if you go to the next slide, please. We also wanted to look at certain kinds of things. There's been a lot of change over and back over the last several legislations on replats. A replat is when you already have previously platted property, and they want to change those lots into either further subdivide them or whatnot. So in those replats, in particular to residential replats, if a lot has either been used residentially or has been zoned residentially for the previous 5 years, it used to be, and was in your ordinance before, that you had to hold a public hearing on a residential replat. So you would notice all the surrounding property owners. However, under platting law, under the state legislation of that, the all plats, if they meet the tenets of the zoning, compel you as the deciding board to approve those plats. And so they became conflict between having a public hearing, which there's an expectation that might be able to change your minds on a decision, to from the public output to what your ability to do. Subdivision law is not zoning. And zoning, you have much more discretion on whether or not you choose the zoning and in that regards. But subdivision law, the way it works is that if they meet the tenets of your zoning, then you as a deciding board and your planning commission as a recommendation board are compelled to approve those plats. That's why it's so important to have a very strong review process for your plats that is within the time limits that the state provides for us, and make sure that you have that review process to ensure that they meet the tenets of the zoning. All the shapes are the correct sizes. All the setbacks are going to be at the right distances, your design standards, as well as all of your engineering, to make sure that if you're approving a final plat, that all of the engineering is going to fit, that the drainage is going to work, that all the labeling on the plats are going to be appropriate, and that that all of the that process has been completed before it gets to your decision. The intent of that, and what this ordinance is to answer questions before you have to decide it. Is to get that information appropriately from the applicant, to get reviews to the applicant, to make sure that those things get corrected, so that you're not having to debate on whether or not a subdivision plat is appropriate or not. You've already made those decisions as a council on whether that use is appropriate through your zoning, which is a completely separate ordinance, and we're not touching that. So if you feel like a subdivision that is coming before you is not appropriate, then you need to go back and change the zoning, and how the zoning works and where the zoning is in your town. So we wanted to make sure that process was clear. Additionally, we wanted to add in a couple of things that language into what goes on to the plat to make responsibility for certain items the responsibility of the developer or responsibility of the property owners, HOAs in perpetuity. One of those big ones was a perpetual maintenance agreement, especially for floodplain, floodway, and drainage easements. If you come in and build a subdivision, we want to make sure if you have to dig out an area in order to retain water as you're building the subdivision, you've changed the grade on it. We want to make sure that that subdivision is responsible for maintaining that area. And so they should dedicate it as a separate lot rather than putting it on multiple lots or on a single property owner. And so therefore there is language in there that says that the town is not responsible for maintaining this. If it fills in with silt, you're the ones who are responsible for it, and it should be dedicated to an HOA who is going to be financially and operationally responsible for it. Additionally, we added sections clarifying certain processes that are not going to happen very often. Waivers to your subdivision regulations. It's not a variance, it's a waiver. It's asking for, well, maybe I don't need to provide you a drainage study. Well, give us the reason and why that drainage study does not need to be done. Another one is on vested rights. Vested rights is what happens in a very tight nutshell is you have a subdivision that comes in and they want to divide a property into, say it's 100 acres and they want to divide it into 5-acre lots. Well, they've submitted something, it's still being reviewed, and you as a council have made the decision where we're going to change the zoning. We don't want 5-acre lots in this area, we want to have 10-acre lots. So you've changed the law of that zoning, but they've already made an application to you. So there is an expectation that they can be reviewed under the previous law. The zoning can't be changed underneath them. And so they can apply for that we are going to get vested rights for that. That is why it's very important in the way the ordinance is written to make sure that they make a formal application submission to the town rather than having, well, we're going to just kind of show you a piece of paper and you guys take it and that's kind of what we're going to do. We want to make sure that there's a formal process where if we talk to you just as a pre-application meeting, we have this idea to build this subdivision. Well, come and talk to us. But you can come and talk to us. We'll get our professionals together to talk about that pre-application. But we're not going to take anything from you from the developer, because then we don't have any responsibility of providing vested rights for that. And so you make a formal submittal so that we can make sure our shot clock is ready, to make sure that we go through the formal process, and that we make sure that everything remains legal. The last one that we've added language to your ordinance is rough proportionality. The town does not extract a lot of things from developers as a small community. You don't have parkland dedication, you don't have trail dedication, but you might someday. But the one thing that you do require is that they have to build roads. Now, some of the roads may be private, behind gates that we were talking about earlier, but some may be dedicated as public roads. And so what we want to do is make sure that if there is a disagreement from the developer and the town as to what the amount of roadway is dedicated to the community, that the federal Supreme Court made a decision that any kind of exaction or any kind of dedication to the community needs to be in rough proportionality to the amount of impact that that subdivision has on the community. So we wanted to make sure that there is a process in there. You're not going to use that process very often, maybe not at all during your terms. But we wanted to make sure that there is protections for the community so that if that does become an issue, that you have those processes in place. The next slide, please. All right, so we wanted to make sure that open engagement in the processing of plats in the community remains. The town has a history of having public hearings for plats. Platting is usually not a public hearing type process. So what we did is we remained a public hearing notifications for a preliminary plat. So that way the surrounding public has the knowledge that there is something going to change. With the knowledge that you still are required to approve a preliminary plat if it meets the minimum standards of your zoning ordinance and design standards and other kinds of ordinances to the community. But what that does is it keeps the neighborhoods informed. And so that is something that you have a tradition in this community, and we wanted to preserve that. We've also modified slightly how minor plats and another one called an amended plat are in your subdivision ordinance, and those are approved administratively. And we work very closely with the subcommittee on these to make sure that we got the language exactly right. So a minor plat is 4 lots or less and requires no new public infrastructure. That means they don't build a road, they don't build public water. They can build individual lines off of a main line to them, but it is not a main line that would have to require installing a fire hydrant or something to that effect. So no public services. And then they may be approved administratively by staff, and again, going through the full checklist for compliance with all regulations and zoning. So that is a small, minor plat, and it is just a subdivision of property. Again, the subdivision lots within a minor plat all have to meet your zoning. So that is part of the checklist. An amended plat is a separate type of plat. If usually is found, and a reason for amended plats is usually found when they're trying to sell a piece of property and it goes through title work. And they find a survey of an individual lot, and there might be a Scrivener error, a technical writing error of a course of that lot is incorrect. It might be off by a few minutes or seconds in the way that the lot is described. And so what they need to do is file an amended plat, and usually it'll be just for that individual lot or for a couple of lots if it's a line that is in between. But it is a technical error. It's not changing or creating new lots. It is not further subdividing. It is just a technical error. And those need to go through the same review process and apply to the town, but then they will be reviewed administratively, and then can be approved, and then those will be recorded with the county. So let me see. The long and short of it is that this document has gone through several changes, as the gentleman did describe. We appreciate his input. He provided a lot of input that we worked with his comments. We also worked with, I'd like to recognize Mark Pape as well as helping and going through a lot of the review of that document. Councilman Lebert had a lot of input and was instrumental in making sure that this document reflected Copper Canyon and the values of the community. And that's my job, is to make sure that we write an ordinance that is going to be technically correct, but is going to reflect the community. This is not a cut and paste job. There is a lot of language that I have used in other communities, but it is geared and corrected and calibrated to the way that the town operates and the way that we have been given direction on how the town should operate into the future. So I'm available for any questions.
Well, I appreciate that. That was very good and stuff. And I will say this on the minor plat issues, and the full discussion on that is when I came into office here, minor plats can be, as described, can be approved by a town staff. But I've asked the town staff any minor plats to be given to every one of the members of the town council. So once it's in consideration, And once it's been approved, they'll know what it is. So the people can be informed of all those, it's above and beyond what's required in the ordinance and things. And of course, the major plats, we've asked, and it's in the ordinance now, that will be posted and sent out on all the emails, the town has on their notification list and things, and posted on the website. So there won't be any platting that is not known by either the town council or the citizens of the town for any future developments.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else have any questions or any comments? So we're gonna go through, so the process we're gonna do for this procedure, we're gonna have one more public hearing and at the end of the month, and then we'll finally get to reviewing the final document at the end of in the last meeting of the month here, 28th? Is that 28th? 28th is the meeting, so we'll have a public hearing before that. So I'd like to just take a motion to table this item until we can get down there to vote on it on the 28th. I think is the best thing to do.
Mayor?
Yes.
Deborah's group's going to review it first before the public hearing?
Yes.
Is that?
Yes,
okay.
she's gonna have the full document, and it gives her 2 weeks to look at it, and everything like that for us, for our review here. But it has gone through quite a few permutations, quite a bit of input from all the council members, and also from the public, and I think it's, it's about as good as you can possibly get.
8
And of
months
course,
worth of input.
8 months worth, and Jeff, we were on that committee to do that, so, I mean, that's about as good as you can get, and of course, at the final of the day is that we can always make changes later on down the road. It's not a permanent one and done operation.
Absolutely, Mayor. And the thing is that ordinances are organic elements, and you as the council have the ability to see how an operation works, and if it is not working, if there is, obviously you're guided by what the state legislature allows you to do with your ordinance, but if there is something that comes forward and it's like, oh, well, that process doesn't work. If it's an administrative process, you're absolutely welcome to make modifications to that ordinance to make sure that it runs as efficiently as you need it to.
Well, it's going to be a long evening here. Anybody else have any questions from the council on this issue at all? Stephen, thank you very much for your report. Troy, you got anything that you'd like to comment?
Nope, I think that's it.
Okay, we'll be recovering this again at the end of the month, and we appreciate your time.
Not a problem. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Do we need to vote on tabling it? Would you say that's correct, to vote on tabling it, or is that necessary?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take a motion to vote on tabling it till the 28th meeting.
I make a motion that we table the vote, is it what we were gonna do? That we were gonna vote for the subdivision ordinance until the July 28th meeting of 2025.
I'll second.
Okay, let's have a motion by Councilman Newton and seconded by Councilman Liebert, and how did everybody vote?
Yay.
Aye. So passes to table it till the meeting on the 28th. Next, thank you very much, Stephen. Next, I said we're going to update our procedures a little bit here. I'm going to reopen the public input for discussions that are on the remaining action and discussion items, a little bit different, but we're going to get public input into items that we're going to work on passing here. And so far, I have 2 people that would like to talk about the items we have remaining in the agenda this evening. Sue Tamil, would you like to discuss anything?
No, you're good.
Okay, Council, Mayor, thank you very much for letting me speak. I've served on the Dinko 911 5-member Board of Managers for 12 years, and I have enjoyed every year of that, and I appreciate prior council's votes and nominations. Our Dinko 911 is the outstanding one in the state of Texas. We're recognized nationally also, because we have done one of the first jobs of taking all of the public schools and the private schools, getting their buildings outlined, their land around them outlined, where a first responder to say a active shooter, where in the fence could they get in, where could they park, where are the doors, where are the gyms, where are the different buildings. They can look at that on the cloud while they're on their response time. And you can do this with fires also. So we have been asked in DENCO to speak all over the United States on our programs, and they're outstanding. And we're now going to city halls and other public places. You may wonder why I removed my name. Well, the position I'm in is voted on by 30 city councils in the county of Denton. That's a lot of city councils. And I received 25 city council votes out of the 30 last time. But I would go to about 8 to 12 cities every year and explain to them, update what DENCO 911 was doing, what our challenges were. I find with the mobility challenges now, I have a driver, a lovely driver, a retired banker, and it's very difficult for me to drive that many cities. And it's difficult to time it because cities all meet on the same night, at the same time usually. So I had asked a man that I have a lot of respect for if he would do this and run for DENCO, and he agreed. His name is John Smith. He's just north of us. He was mayor of Hickory Creek for 5 years, and then they wanted him to be their town administrator. He's been that for the last 10 years. He served on the council for a term before that. So he's been there almost 20 years, and Hickory Creek could not be a more outstanding town. It's very well run, it's very stable, and their economic development is outstanding. And he has agreed, and he's gone around to different councils and started to talk to them and ask for their vote. But I would really ask you to consider him for your vote. He would make an outstanding DENCO 911 manager. So I will serve till the end of September, but I wanted you to know I appreciate the nomination, but I think it would be better served for somebody who's more mobile than me. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? No, but I have a couple comments. We all know, Sue, you have put your life into dedication to the people of this town and Denton County and everything like that. And I'm going to stand up and give you a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Your time, your effort.
Thank you. Well, I will make one comment, Mayor. You're
Yep.
exactly right. My town administrator, Donna, and I drove this town about every third day to see what needed done wherever. So it's one of the best ways to find out where you have code enforcement violations.
Exactly.
And people appreciate your personally asking them to correct it.
Yep. I 100% agree with you there. 4.7 square miles lets you get a cup of coffee and go do that in the morning. So it's very good. We appreciate all your time and and good luck to you in the future. Next speaker for subjects is Ted Stranzik. Theodore, are you willing to talk now, or are you? I'll
make a few short comments.
Okay, thank you. It's your reputation precedes you, Ted.
Inasmuch as Mr. Dunaway Incorporated has made a very nice presentation, the problem is that when you read the document that was originally presented, it was awful. It was terrible. Out of 94 pages, 75 of the pages had errors in them. I don't care what he put up on this presentation. That's not what was presented. The errors, the corrections, the revisions that were necessary by every one of you on this council and P&Z, and a little bit by me, but the bottom line is, we got to look at this document a lot more seriously. The revisions that you people put into it made this document today what it is, not with that gentleman who was here earlier. The errors, the mistakes that were made were amateur. I mean, high school rhetoric errors. And this is a professional organization, and we are mandated by what the content of those laws are as written. And as they were presented, they were terrible. And thanks to your work, it's been greatly improved. And as far as how long it's taking, 7 months? This should have taken 2 months, period. 8 months, okay. I mean, this is it's just insane that we have to wait this long, and this company is also going to help us with future revisions. My very simple statement is we need to just plain and simple fire this vendor. If we want to go forward with what he's presented, it's up to you guys, but I would not approve it. I would conditionally accept it and then let the next company that comes along do some harmonization with that data and what they have with the remaining job, which is a big one, to get done. But the payments that have made and the results and the product that has been delivered is terrible. We, thanks to you, have got a decent document, but it still needs more work. And I would strongly recommend that that vendor be dismissed and you find somebody who can do it a lot better. Thank you. By the way, this is what 8 months have gotten. And I've got an audit trail on hundreds of mistakes. This is a professional organization. To come up with this kind of garbage, nonsense.
Thank you, Ted. Appreciate your comments. And I will close. Anybody else have any comments for the agenda items that are currently on the remaining? I'll close the public input for any action and discussion items part 2 and enter to the council discussion on the action and discussion items part 2. Item number 1 is discuss, consider, take action regarding resolution 2510, voting for a representative for Denton County 911 District Board of Managers for the year-to-year term beginning October 1st, 2025. I'll open discussion on that item. Discussion closed. I'll take a motion to vote for our nominee from Copper Canyon for Denco 1911.
Please don't. I'm your nominee. Yeah, please, she's our nominee.
Oh,
Appreciate you voting for John Smith.
We have to name a nominee.
Yeah,
oh,
you
well,
have
let's
to-
name a nominee.
Yeah, you have to name John Smith.
Oh, I thought they were all three.
Nope. Yeah. They couldn't get the name wrong.
Oh,
We'd have to name him as the.
So
so
I'll
I take a
make,
motion to nominate a new person for
Right.
911.
so I'll make a motion that we
But it would
nominate.
actually have to be on the agenda, wouldn't it? Oh, it's on the next one. So you just say no to that one. We're not nominating, we're just not voting for her.
Yeah, we need to vote on just one of the two,
Right.
representatives.
But name him.
Voted for representative for Denco 911. That's,
But
Yeah, we have to
That
choose
was
one.
what I was trying to,
Yeah, you're doing it. Name him.
let's,
Unless it's unanimous and none of us know who the other person is doing it.
Correct, that was
I think what we
it.
should do is basically take a poll, and I move that individually, each person name who it is that they feel that
There we go.
should be named as a representative to Denco 911 from the town of Copper Canyon.
Because we didn't,
have not discussed amongst
yeah, we didn't have
ourselves.
any discussion, we just
We have not
closed it.
discussed, so we don't know, who it is.
Thank
that
you,
anybody
Victoria,
else is
yes.
thinking about.
Yeah, but, okay, so Deborah, how we can handle this? Because we have 3 nominees, Sue's been taken off, we have 2 nominees.
Okay, so basically, to Victoria's comments about taking a poll, you can reopen discussion and have each individual council member say who it is they prefer, okay? You could do it that way, or you could accept a motion to nominate someone, and then if there's a second, take a vote, see if that passes, and if
There.
that one doesn't pass, then you can do it
All right,
again, okay?
all right.
I
So
like,
let's,
I like Deborah's suggestion of taking a motion.
I'll open it for a motion to nominate a
Thank you for
person for
that.
911. All right, to vote for.
Yes,
Right, name a person who will serve, as a representative to the Denko
Yes.
area 911. So take person make a motion, put a name in there, if there's a second, then you take a vote. If
Which
there's
is
not a
what Paul
second,
was
the
going to
motion dies, and someone else makes a motion.
I do know John personally.
Well, let's take, we
You
have to
just
take a
do the
motion.
motion.
We
I
have
know,
to
but
take a
I'm
motion.
doing extra,
but that would
just
have to,
discussion.
that would require discussion, opening it up.
Yeah,
If you want to do that.
Discussion is closed.
Discussion closed.
Mayor closed the discussion.
Okay.
All right, well, I'll reopen the discussion for our nominees for 911. We have 3 nominees on the sheet here, let's just read. Anyways,
If
discussion
you-
is now
If you want to open discussion again, you can. I just, a point of order, if you want to open discussion, you can, so that you're following decorum and you feel good about that. Then my point of order would be, please open discussion.
okay, point of order, we're going to reopen discussion for the 911 nominee for the 2 remaining names.
I would feel better about that due diligence, because
Okay.
I see your face.
Is there any discussion on this?
And I would feel better that Paula could make a
Well,
point.
no,
Roll
I
call.
just was gonna say, I have met John and been, I don't know him personally, I wouldn't say he's a friend, but I have met him personally over the last few years, and I do believe that he is dedicated and would be a good candidate to fill the very large shoes that he is now has to step in, and with that, I don't really know what to do now.
Well,
I
any
would-
other discussion?
No, I'll just add that, I mean, Sue's been involved for such a long time. I trust her judgment on this, so. I don't know the man, but I trust the source.
I
Sure.
I appreciate hearing both Paula's point and Sue's perspective.
Any other discussion items from any council members? I'll close discussion on that issue. And now I'll take a motion to vote on one of the 2 remaining nominees. Is
Okay.
that what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay.
I make a motion
Thanks.
that we nominate, or that we vote for John Smith as a representative to the Denko Area 911 District Board of Managers for the year, term beginning October 1st, 2025.
Second.
Motion was presented by Councilman Janine Newton and seconded by Councilman Castillo. And I'll take a vote on, what? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks for leading me to that. All opposed? That passes unanimously then for John Smith to be the Copper Canyon nominee for Denko Area 1911 District Board Manager. Got through that. That was painful. That's not how I was reading paperwork. Anyways, all right, the next 3 items are discussions concerning ordinance changes. And I will open discussion on these, on the first ones. Well, I'm going to say as a general thing for all 3 of them. These are items that I've been reviewing the ordinances on how the town council operates. And I'm trying to get more town council control of who is making decisions for the town, because the town council are the people that got elected by the people to make decisions for the town. And I'm also want the ability for our council to be able to put things on the agenda each meeting, and it may last 3 hours, or hopefully not much longer than 2. But where we currently it sets the council members, our current ordinance sets the council members up for a potential violation of Open Meetings Act if they want an item on the agenda. That being said, it's a little wonky, but the first item is discuss and consider and take action regarding amending Chapter 1 general provisions, Article 3, Town Council, Division 2, and Meetings and Rules and Procedures, 1.03.044 agenda. And that first item, we have the council members, and it's in the packet, have a red line item here. And it's basically, and I'll open the discussion on it. It removes the requirement to have 2 council members be together to present an item for an agenda, where each council member has the ability to present items for discussion for placement on the agenda. And it mandates the mayor, if an item is presented by a council member, the mayor must put it on the agenda. And he can't not put it on the agenda should he not choose. And it also adjusts the dates because the state legislature changed the notification process for meetings up on us by 2 days, not counting weekend days where they had cut it for 72-hour notice before. So once again, a little wonky for most people, but we have to change the date when that information has to be presented.
Okay, it's 3 business days.
Right. Right. Okay.
3 business days, it used to be 72 hours.
72 hours, 3 business days. Okay, so that moves it up. So therefore, in order for us to be able to get the process on the agenda for the council members and get it on there, they have to present it to Sheila, our town secretary, or our town administrator in enough time to get it all listed on the agenda. And that's why we have to change the date on that. So, any other discussion? Is there anybody else has any discussion? Any council member has a discussion on the on that proposed amendment for the ordinance?
No, they look like reasonable changes. Thank you for redlining it. I'm guessing this will be for discussion, proposal for discussion on a future agenda. It would be the place for that.
And the process is going to be, you're exactly right, is going to be, we're discussing and taking action to approve and we're making an agenda item at the meeting at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And the importance is I want this done by the end of the month because that way it sets us up for voting later on for the committees when they become active for us in September. So, let's talk about number 2. Discuss and consider, I'll read it again. Discuss and consider to take action regarding amending Chapter 1, General Provisions, Article 3, Town Council, Division 2, Meetings and Rules and Procedures, 1.03.044 agenda. I'll take a motion to vote on that. Or discuss, discussion. We already did that. Anybody got a motion to vote on it? Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we vote on the changes for Chapter 1, Section 3.044 on the agenda.
I second it.
Motion was made by Councilman Hubbard, seconded by Councilmember Newton, and how do we vote?
Aye.
Yep, please.
To make a motion, you need to say I move that we approve, not that we vote on, which is
Oh,
what
yeah.
you said. I move that we vote on, so say I move that we approve.
Move that we approve.
I said it again, yeah, so I make a motion that we approve, so changes to the, Chapter 1, Article 3.044, the agenda.
Of the ordinance 103.144. Okay. What's that? Okay. Well, somebody second it?
Second.
Seconded by Newton. And let's take a vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
So that passes unanimously again. Okay.
Let me just make one quick point.
I'm gonna write this down. Go ahead.
You know, when you're making a motion, you know, like this one, and I'm sorry I didn't say this to you at the same time. If the agenda item clarifies exactly what you're changing, chapter 1, general provisions, article 3, town council, division 2, meetings and rules of procedure, 1.03.044. I think just for the record and for clarification, that needs to be, you know, we're voting on to accept the changes in the following ordinance, okay? And then read that, and then you've got that on the record and it's clear.
Okay.
Be very specific. Yes.
And I will mess that up in the future. All right, so that passed unanimously. Can we go on to the next one? All right, great. Discussion, time, consider take action considering regarding amendment, chapter 1, general provisions, article 3, town council, division 3, financial advisory committee, 1.03.083, organization of the financial advisory committee. And here, I'll open up for discussion on that item, and I'll discuss what I wrote up here, is that sometimes it's hard for us to find volunteers to accomplish a absolute 6-member thing, committee, so I changed it to just a maximum of 6 members. That allows, with the listing that we have, didn't change anybody on the current staff or on the town council as members of that committee. But then I added in where the town council will vote for the chairman of the financial advisory committee and the committee will select the vice chairman. So the purpose of this, and the purpose you'll see it in the next ordinance update, is I really feel that the people who get elected should be the ones who set up the chairmen of the committees that make a big difference to our town. And the reason is, that's because it's government by the people. And so that's why I made this change and updated it this way. Instead of having, in the previous way it was, the volunteers that got appointed to that committee chose the chairman. And actually, sometimes the chairman would have more power than a council member. So I want to return the power of selection of who decides how this town is run to the people who got elected. Any other discussion items? That's the philosophy of what I put on, why I wrote this up this way. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make a few suggestions, just for clarification purposes. In the A, you have town council will vote on the chairman. I'd like to suggest it should read, town council will appoint the chairman, because in actuality, that's what you're doing, you're appointing.
Okay, we can do that.
And then the other thing that I point out, and just for consistency, in C, we have town council capitalized, and I just in looking above, it looks like the existing language, it wasn't capitalized, so just for consistency, you need to keep that the same, so small t, small c, in for town council, and I didn't review any of these previously, so I apologize.
And thanks for that input, Deborah. These are only just suggestions, and you'll be rewriting the entire ordinance for us for voting on that next meeting. So that's where we're going to get to and stuff. So this is not the final language. So, and then also, in the filling of vacancies, we had a couple tonight. In going through that process, I was looking at that and I was deciding, okay, the mayor can nominate a person with 1 year left, or less than 1 year left in any kind of term, but more than 1 year left, I think the town council, once again, the people who got voted into office, should decide who's on committees and things. So that's the philosophy behind that. Is there any discussion from anybody on that? Paul?
One question I have of Deborah is, since we really need to have this in the right language, should we table this instead of voting for it? Because are we going to have to vote it again once you write it correctly?
Well, we're going to have to vote for the ordinance later on in the month anyways, yeah.
I'm just saying, not that we have a problem with it, but should we just table it for now?
Okay, I mean, you're voting to change the ordinance now, and that's in the language that you vote for. I mean, this is directly taken from your ordinance, this
Okay.
language. So the change to the language, that's what is going to be, I mean, unless I'm misunderstanding something, that's what's gonna be in the ordinance going forward.
But did we talk about we're gonna vote on the ordinance on the 28th?
So it was my understanding that you wanted council to discuss, to kind of look at what the suggested verbiage was, and then make any changes as needed, and then we would give that to Deborah to write the ordinance, which would then be voted on. So really, my understanding more tonight would be, hey, let's just discuss this.
Right.
That I should take action.
With no action.
Okay,
So that, do you agree?
I think so, yes.
okay, well,
So what I'm seeing though is on number 4 is that we're discussing, considering, and we're taking action though.
But sometimes we don't take action.
So we're okay just to discuss it and then give it to you, and then we'll, on the 28th, and this will go to action.
Yes.
the action would be directing
Okay.
Deborah's team to have that available for
Okay,
us for
got it.
vote as an ordinance change on the 28th,
Okay.
if you can get it done. So I guess the basic line is, does anybody have any discussion on that as far as the language goes or anything like that?
As far as
That's a
I'm
philosophy.
concerned, the way that it looks good when she corrects that language. I'm happy with that with the spirit of what you're looking to do,
Mm-hmm.
that sounds like a better direction.
Okay. We don't need a vote, do we?
No.
Don't need a
the
vote.
language
Let's
is
go to the
fine.
next item then. since it's- Discuss and consider and take action amending Chapter 1 General Provisions, Article 4, Boards and Commissions, Division 2, Planning and Zoning, 1.04.032, appoint in terms of members, and 1.04.035, appointments of officers, adoptions of rules. Where is, why do I not have that sheet
Are
there?
you gonna open for discussion? It's still in that same area.
So that's a change to the appointment of the members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Vacancies of 1 year filled by the mayor, and the town council will appoint, once again, the parallel issue, appoint the chairman of the committee. In less than 1 year, then the mayor can appoint. So it's the same philosophy. And the other one is appointment of officers, adoption of rules. I'll read it. Each first council meeting in September, the town council shall nominate and vote on members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. That's the same way we do it now. The town council will vote for the chairman, appoint, and the committee for the members, from the members selected. The Planning and Zoning shall elect the vice chairman during the first meeting in September after a full commission is established. The Planning and Zoning Commission will conduct meetings under Robert's Rules of Order as can be modified by the chairman. So it gives them a basic structure to run their meetings, that's all. In the bottom. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, the change is that the council then will vote for the chairman of the P and Z as opposed to, like you said, the members of the P and Z.
That's the philosophy is that I'm trying to establish is the town council is the one that will establish the chairman of all the committees.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
As long as passes the legal process down there. All right, so we'll accept that language, and we'll have Deborah write that up and do an ordinance later on down for available, hopefully by the end of the month, and stuff. Next item, discuss, consider, take action regarding rate study update agreement between Town of Copper Canyon and Ratliffs. Troy?
So Mayor, this is the sewer study. We did one back in 2022 when Vickery was in its very infant stages. So now that that development is pretty much built out today, you'd want to go back and look at real numbers. They did what they could to estimate based on lot sizes, what flows would be, what some maintenance costs would be, those type of things based on some new systems. And now that the system is becoming almost five years old, it's time to revisit that. And we looked at 2 different firms to provide this service. New Gen out of Richardson came in a little bit higher on the bid. They were about at 13,000 and some change. And this firm who did the initial study back in '22 was not to exceed 11,000. So I would recommend we approved this agreement to give us a better understanding of not only what our current rates, is that satisfying the need to maintain that system over a long period of time, or do we need to do some rate changes? And they'll determine that. They'll do some forecasting associated with that. They'll look at what potential maintenance costs are now that we have it fully operational as well, because also Williams Ranch has come online along with that. So it's time for us to hire somebody to come in and do that, and we recommend these guys to do it.
Okay. Any other discussion on that by the town council?
Just a question, is this something that periodically we will have to,
Yes, yep.
every 3 to 5 years?
Probably every 4 to 5, given our system's pretty small. I mean, larger cities will do this more frequently because they'll have aging systems that have been in the ground for 20, 30 years, and they'll have brand-new systems that have just been put in the ground. And so for us, given the size that we have, it's pretty straightforward. We have maybe 260, maybe 270 users to the systems, to that particular system that flows into Flower Mountain. Plus, we don't do any treatment. That's done by the adjacent.
So we're just talking about Vickery and Williams.
Currently, yes, that's correct.
Unless something goes in the town center.
Yeah, if something goes in that spot, whatever that may be.
We'd have to probably do this again after that goes in.
We can, what they'll do is they'll project some of that,
Right.
whether it's residential or whatever that use may end up being. So this is part of just updating it now that now they're gonna have real numbers of what those flows are, and they'll be able to project out, as well.
Okay.
How long was this contract for?
It will take them about 3 to 4 months to complete the study.
It's a one-time.
Yeah, it's not to exceed 11,000.
Not-
So
yeah.
as they start interviewing the staff and they start gathering data that we have as it relates to number of users and, the facilities, the lift station that's in Williams Ranch and all the houses that are plugged into that, then as soon as they complete that study, they'll come back and present, and then that'll be the end of it.
Okay. Any other discussion items? I'll take a motion to take action and approve the study, the update agreement with Town of Copper Canyon and Rattleless.
I'll move that we approve the rate study update agreement between the town of Copper Canyon and Raftellus. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Raftellus.
I second it.
I have a motion by Jeff Dahl, Councilman Jeff Dahl. I have a second by Councilmember Hubbard. All in favor, say aye. All in favor, right, that passes unanimously. That vote is recorded as unanimous. And that finishes our action and discussion items. Future agenda item, discussion future agenda. Any council member may request an item that's been placed in the future agenda. Does anybody have anything that they wish to put forward for a future agenda item?
Should we discuss Safe Built at the next meeting, or is that too early?
I'm assuming.
If you want it on the agenda, we can put it on the agenda.
I think there was enough discussion about that, and it probably
We can always
warrants
put it on the agenda, and if we don't want to talk about it, we can.
Their contract, I believe, may be up in September.
Yeah, it's up in
So maybe
September.
we
That's-
wait till August or do.
We definitely need to do it before September.
If
Right,
we need to do it
yes.
before September.
So I think maybe on the 28th, it's going to probably be the subdivision ordinance. Maybe we wait until August and bring that up
Just
and
want to
get
make
some
sure
more.
before we do.
We'll look at it.
Before then, I'd
We'll
like
figure,
to
yeah,
have the
see what,
contract
it won't be, hopefully it'll be the 28th. So the issue becomes then, my future agenda items for us are, we're gonna rewrite these suggestions and then into a ordinance for acceptance on the 28th, and along with subdivision ordinance discussion. And I ask that each council member start taking a look at, and it was mentioned by Steve, Mr. Dunaway, or the Dunaway project, start looking at section 14 and 14A zoning, because we're gonna walk into that as soon as the budget items are started to, and also think about 5 budget items, if you can, that you have priority for yourself, that you want to bring into the budget development that Jeff and Janae are going to be able to work for. And that way, they won't be surprised, and we'll have a project for them to work for as far as budget priorities for the town council. That's my asking for the town council. Anybody else got anything else? With that being said, I'll ask for a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. We'll call it the meeting is now closed at 9:20.